Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how I've made my Snowflake Square. Recently I've been trying to perfect this. I had a snowflake on my channel for quite some time. I wanted to turn it into a square, and it took me a little while, but I wanted to make it as part of a Christmas crochet along. But I liked it so much that I decided to make a Christmas snowflake blanket with it first. So I've been making all of these squares so that I can sew them together. They're obviously, if I wanted to do it in different colours to make it Christmassy, I could do some that have got green, some that have got red, you know, just kind of make it more festive. But I wanted to do this one as a blue and white one. And so I've been busy making all these squares. But if I waited until I've finished them all and got them together so that I could show you the blanket, then it might not be ready for you guys, the tutorial, until too near Christmas. So I decided to do the square as a separate video, and then when I've got the rest all put together, I'll pop in a part 2, and it will just be the join in the border. Well, probably I will show you I'll just basically sew them together. I'm going to try have a couple of ideas to see what it looks like if I have the ridge, if I crochet them together, and see which one I prefer. So then I'll do a separate video for the ending and show you the finished blanket. But I'm going to show you the square now, because you can make it into anything you want. You can do a cushion, a blanket, scarf, you can make baby blanket, you can do anything with it. So it doesn't have to be Christmas, it's just could be a winter blanket. So that's the beauty of just having the snowflake. So I have used some DK weight yarn. This is just a white from the Women's Institute yarn, and this one was just a Hayfield bonus in the extra value in a blue. It's beautiful soft yarn. Although it's extra value, it doesn't feel like value yarn at all. So to start off, I used the white, and then go with the colour. And the beauty of this one, let me just get my glasses, because it's a bit of a dark day. I don't want to put the light on if I don't have to. So I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook, and the reason for that is I wanted a hook that was a little small for the yarn. Because normally I would use a 4, 4.5, up to a 5, depending on how thick the yarn is. And as you can see, this isn't thin DK. I know you can get some pretty thin DK, but this one isn't. So I figured I would normally use a 4.5, but I wanted it tight. I wanted it to have this kind of tight, sturdy feel of a snowflake. But you can make this with whatever yarn you want. If you want to make it with a 4 weight or any yarn you want, as long as you use the correct crochet hook. So I would say whatever hook you would usually use for that yarn, drop it down, not half a size, but a full size, because I would usually use a 4.5 for this yarn. You'll also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle. Unfortunately, there are a few ends because, well, there's not that many. It's a magic ring to start, so obviously that would be pulled, and then this would be done away with. And you get a join at this point. I always work over mine. I didn't kind of work over that one too well, did I? Never mind, I didn't do that one. But normally I work over them and there's less for me to do. I even have a way of working yarn through this, just so I don't have to sew so much. But, you know, there's not that many and you can work over them. Right, so I'm just going to clear all my bits and pieces out of the way and get ready to start. So if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Hopefully you'll be informed when new videos pop up. And when I get back to you, I'll start with how to do this. Okay, so to start with, I've done a magic loop because I want to pull it tight. But if you're happy with the way it looks here, then just chain 4 and join with a slip stitch and work into that chain space, and you'll get this effect. It won't be completely closed. When you do that, you can still pull on it, but it doesn't close right up tight. It just closes, it closes enough, but you know, but my way of doing the magic loop is extremely easy, and I'll show you a couple of times. I just make a loop. So this is the front bit, just make a loop, put my hook in, bring my yarn through and do a chain. And that is done. That is the magic loop. So I'll show you again, ever so simple. This is the front of the loop. It's want to curl that way now. So there we go. You've got a loop with this at the front, and you put your hook in, pull the yarn through and do a chain. Just an open slip knot, really. So we are going to make 4 chain. I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do a UK treble or a US double crochet into the center, working over this knot part. Just go in and make your stitch and chain 2, and then we're going to do another one in the same space, working over that knot, and chain 2. We're going to repeat that until we have 7 completed, all in that ring. And if it starts to get a little baggy, just pull on it and tighten it up a little bit, because you want to be in complete control of that. You don't want your end sort of coming loose. You just count it, count the spaces. So remember, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so this is 7. And now our last join will be another segment. So in order to make this seamless, I'm going to I'm going to do a half treble crochet or a half double in the US in my second chain up. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to go 1, 2, hang on, where's my 2 chain? Yeah, that is the right one. 1, 2, and I'm going to insert into that stitch, yarn over and pull up my loop. So I've got 3 on my hook. That's the tail. Let's get that out of the way. You can see 3 on my hook, and I'm just going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that gives me the same size hole as all around. I'll show you one more time. So there's my 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Going to yarn over, and in my second chain, there's my first, my second. I'm going to insert my hook, pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now, why do I do that? Because now my loop is right in the center of that space, which is where I want it to be, to make half. I'm going to make half a stitch so that I come back and finish that stitch. So basically I'm kind of making these 2 here. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to chain 2, and I'm going to do 1 UK treble or US double into that space that I've just joined my yarn, joined my ring. So that would be the other half of this. So in this next one, I'm going to do 2 UK trebles or US doubles, and then I'm going to chain 2 and do 2 more in the same space. Now, I don't want you to worry if this looks as if it's getting bunched up. It works out perfectly fine. So in the next one, I'm going to do exactly the same as I did in this one. I'm going to do 2, chain, and then 2 more in the same space. And I'm going to do that in every single hole until I get back to this one. We'll do another one. So we're going to do 2 chain, and then 2 more in that same space. We're going to do that all the way around. So what we're doing is we are making this part here. So this 4 is 2 of this segment and 2 of this segment. See, we're going, there's our 2 chain, and there's our other 2. And that's what we're going to do all the way around. So I'm going to pause the video and I will pop up again when I got to this part here and we need to finish this one off. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and as you can see, it starts to bow a little bit as if there's too many stitches, but it will work its way right. Okay, so now this is our first one that we started, and it's our half. So we're going to go in there and finish off the 2 for the other side of our 4. And just as we did before, we're going to join with a half treble, half doubles in our second. So there's our first chain, our second chain. Just going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up the loop. Now this one does look a little tighter, so you have to make sure you go in the right place in a second. But I'm just going to finish that off. So as you can see, that's finished that one off. So I'm going to chain 2, and in the same place, that hole in between, I'm going to do 2 more UK trebles or US doubles in that same space. So again, that's just half of that segment. In our next hole here, after our stitches, I'm going to do what looks like a corner when you're making a granny square. So I'm going to do 3 stitches, and I'm going to chain 2. That's the only thing I don't do when I'm making a granny square. I don't do 2 chain. And I'm going to do 3 more in that same space. And now I'm going to go to the next one, which is there, and do exactly the same. And we're going to do that all the way around into our little peaks. 2 chain, don't forget. It's starting to squeak because I'm getting a little bit warm. Okay, let's have a look. So what we've got is our half of one here, and then we've got 2 full ones. So we're going to do that in each of our peaks all the way around. And then once I've done this one, I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back to you and show you what we do next when we get to here. Okay, so I've made it all the way around and this is how it's looking. And we need to finish off this one here. So I'm going to do my last 3. Now you have a choice. And that choice, because as I said, I always work my tails in as I go. So I do my half treble there. But if you didn't want to do that and you wanted it to be exactly the same, you just do your 2 chain, slip stitch into the top of our first 2 chain, which is 1, 2. So you can go in and slip stitch into there and end off. I'll do that way with you today because it would be confusing for you to see the way I sew my ends in. So now every one of those is the same, and all we have to do is sew that one in. And we start now on our blue. I'm just going to pause that while I clear the white away and get the blue yarn and show you what we do next. Okay, so this round is the only kind of really tricky one. And so we're adding our blue, but we're not going to add it to the peaks here. We're going to add it to one of these troughs, if you like, peaks troughs. So we're going to go in. I'm just going to bring my yarn through. And how I join is I lift up my tail and I chain with that as well. You can join however you like, really. It doesn't matter. But what we need now, that one I'm going to cinch down if I can, as it's just my join. And I'm going to chain 5. And now I'm going to do a double treble, which is a treble in the US. So I'm going to yarn round twice, go into that same space, yarn over and pull up my loop. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So again, this is half of what would happen in this space here. So I'm just going to do a UK double or a US single crochet into that peak. And now this part, what we're making now is we're making a corner, which is, we've just done half of a corner. We've done this part here. And in this side, our side, we need it to be smaller. So it's the same sort of principle, but a different stitch. So I'm going to just, in this dip here, I'm going to do a usual UK treble or US double. And I'm going to chain 2. And then I'm going to do 2 together. I'll pull it over a little bit. And then I'm going to chain 2 and do 1 more. So what we have is a V and another V, but they're side by side. And now I'm going to do my double crochet or single crochet into there. So now we're going to do a full corner. We're going to do a double treble or a treble crochet in the US into that space. I'm going to chain 2 and we're going to do another one into the same space. We're going to chain 2. We're going to do another one in the space. Pull it over if you need to. I'm going to do another one. Now I'm going to chain 2, but I always get that mixed up. I'll show you what else I get mixed up in a moment, sometimes. Okay, so we now have 3 segments. We're going to do our UK double or US single in there. So now we've made a corner and a side. They look bumpy, but it will work out in the end. So now we're on our side again. We're going to just repeat what we did before. So we're doing 1, 2 chain, and then 2 side by side. I always forget that second one, and then I come round and I have to undo it and go back. That's the other thing I always forget. So do 2 chain, complete my second V, and now I'm going to join again there. Okay, so we've got 2 side, well, a side, a corner and a side, and they started off with half a corner. So I'm going to do another corner in this one. I know I've caught my tail there, but I wanted to do that because they get in the way and look annoying. So that'll just hold it down for me until I can sort it out. No, see again, I forgot the chain. Always do. I get carried away. So basically in our corners, we're doing the double trebles or US trebles, but we have 3. Make sure you always have, sometimes I can get it through, it just doesn't want to. Make sure you always have the 3 segments before you join it. Okay, so if I stop now and have a look, we've got this corner and a side, and this will be a corner. So you can see it is starting to square out. So if you have to, just watch this round a couple of times if you find it confusing. But once you get the principle of what a corner is and what the side is, then it gets easier. The only thing is sometimes there's bits you can forget, like chains or putting 2 stitches side by side. I did put a chain in between them at one point here, but I had to still pull it over, so I figured I didn't really need it. That's split there. I'm going to undo that one. Don't like splitting yarn. Okay, so now we're on the corner again. Because it's different, I'll stick with you on this round. I need to pull out some yarn, it's getting a bit tight. Just bear with me a second. Okay, so we've made our corner, we're now making our side, and then we'll be back to our finish off our corner. Okay, so to finish our corner, ignore this tail, we do our first double treble or treble crochet, 2 chain, and we do another in the same space. So we've got 1 and we've got 2. So to bridge the gap, we're just going to do a half treble in our 3rd chain up. So there's our 1, hang on a moment, I didn't know, there's our 1, 2, it's this one, easier to count from that end. So we're going to do that just as we did on our lower rows, and we're going to do that, and we've got our 3 segments again because we're carrying on with the blue yarn. Okay, so shall I show you that again just in case? We've got our 1 over this side and our 1 over that side, and as long as you have 2 chain, you're going into this one here, and we're going to join it exactly the same way as we did below with our half treble or half double. Okay, so the next round is starting to pull it into the square. Only well, it's already starting, but it gives it a little bit more square. So we're going to chain up 2, and then in this center space we're going to do 2 UK trebles, or you guessed it, US double crochets. And then in this next one we're going to do 3. Oops, helps to bring the yarn with you. It's because the hook's small, but I wanted it that way. So now we completely bypass this part here, and we go straight to that first chain space over there, and we put 3 in. If I go ahead of you, just pause it. And then in between our 2, we're going to do 1. Just in between the stitch. And then we're going to do 3 in the next V. And just as we did over here, we're going to ignore this middle part, and we're going to go straight into there with 3. I'm trying to get too close to the camera, I think. And now we're going to do a corner in here. So we're going to do 3. Two chain, and then another 3 in the same space to turn the corner. And as you can see, it's still kind of, it's taking the bumps out, but it's still a little bit. So in the next one, we're going to do 3. So we've got V's and elongated V's that we're working into, and that middle. I didn't pull out enough yarn. Be right back with you. Okay, so we've done our complete corner now, and that's our side and our complete corner. So we're going to skip over this part and do 3 in our first V. One in between our 2 stitches, 3 in the next V. Skip over that part, 3 in our first elongated V. Then our full corner of 3. Two chain and 3 more in the same space. And then we're going to do 3 in our next elongated V, and that will complete the whole corner. So I'm just going to stop, and so you can have a little look at it. So here we are. That's the main one. So you're doing this row, and we're going around our corners. We're going in our V's and in between, and that's going to pull it into a nice kind of square for us to do our last row. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with you because it is a little more unusual. So we'll carry on and we'll do 3 in our next V. Don't forget the one between the 2 stitches, and 3 in the next V. Then we're back to our corner. So when you get to the corner, just remember it's 3, corner, 3. And the corner being 3, 2 chain, 3. I always find it easier to hold the whole thing in my hand at this stage. If I go too fast, then just pause it, or you can scoot off if you're able to the next bit. Three. Because when I said I'll stay with you to the end of this round, there'll be some of you going, oh, no. And then there'll be someone saying, thank goodness for that. It's quite a nice square. It doesn't pull too much or pucker. So we're on the last stretch. We're going to do 3 in our last elongated V. Finish off our corner 3. Let's pull it over a little bit. It gets a bit congested. Now you've got that choice again. I still join with my half treble, get myself into the middle, but I work over that end. But you don't have to, so you can just do 2 chain, and I'll do that with you, and you just slip stitch and end off. So I will have more ends to sew in on this one. Okay. So now we're going to bring our white back. So I'm just going to pause it for a second while I clear the blue away and get the white back. Okay, so we're gonna, I always, if I'm gonna work over tails, which I am with this one and this one, because now we are doing a row where we're going in every stitch basically, I will always start in a different corner, so I don't have to do 2 tails at the same time. Okay, so I'm just going to join the yarn. I'm going to pull up my tail and do my chain. And then I'm just going to pull on that to cinch it down a little bit. This is not going to count as a chain, so I'm doing 2 chain. And I'm going to do 1 in the same space. You can join at any corner. So basically, that's half of our corner again. And then we're going to go in every stitch. And don't forget this one here. Otherwise, if you go in some and not others, you will have a different stitch count when you come to sew it up or crochet it together, however you're going to do it. So we're just going to, I'm working over my tail as I go. I'm just going to do 1 UK treble or US double in every single stitch around. Nice and easy. Easiest round there is. Okay, so I'm going to pause it and I will come back to you when I get to this corner and I'll show you how we turn the corner. Okay, so I've made it up to the corner and we're going to do the corner just if you're normally turning a corner on something that isn't a granny, then usually it's just 3 stitches in the corner and that's all we're going to do. If I can just get that tail to get lost for a second. There we go. So I'm just going to do 3 in that chain space to turn the corner. Then I'm going to carry on doing 1 in every single stitch. And I'm going to go over this tail. It's not that easy to see where your stitches are. That's it. That is all you do. So 1 in every single one. And 3 in our corner. 1 in every single one. 3 in our corner. 1 in every single one. And then I will come back to you and show you how to finish off completely. Okay, so I'm almost there. Just got another 1 to do. Now we've got 2. We're going to just do our last one, our third, and then we're going to slip stitch into our middle one. I always find that hard to get hold of. If I try and get the 2 loops, that is on the last one. So I'm going to slip stitch into that one and cut my yarn and do a chain to cinch down and pull out. So that's it, it's done. So what I was thinking of doing as well as making a blanket would be to use some, excuse me, I went dry. So yeah, I was going to use, I've got some sparkly yarn, some silver and all kinds of different Christmassy yarns. So I was thinking of making some silver snowflakes and some other sparkly ones and designing it into a placemat for Christmas. So I could do, it wouldn't be any good with this kind of yarn, but to make it into sort of Christmassy yarn, make a placemat and maybe a table runner. Because once you've got the design and you get to this stage, you can just make it bigger. Anyway, thank you for watching. Like I said, I'm going to get on and make the rest of this blanket, and if you're interested in it, I'll do a little part 2 that shows how I joined all my squares together and my border. Thank you for watching. Stay safe. Bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. Tracy here, and in this year of Granny Squares, this particular week we're going to make this Christmas tree, and it is a little tricky with colour work. It's also does make a lot of ends, which I have now sewn in, but as you can see, it does make quite a bit of ends. This was another one I was working on, but I've decided I didn't like and perfected it. So this is the one. Now, just a little note that if you are looking for the left-handed tutorial, you will find that just as soon as this one finishes. I'll put a timestamp in the description box below, although I know a lot of you like to watch both for me, so that's great. But it will be there. Now you can leave it at this, or you can go around it with another row. You can make it in any colours and make anything you want with this. I've used cotton yarn. It's a DK weight yarn and a 4mm crochet hook. Obviously you need a darning needle and scissors, and okay, I'm just going to clear away and we'll get started. In the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you hopefully will get informed when new videos pop up. So to make this square, I'm going to make the beginning is very much like any other granny square. So I'm going to make a slip knot and chain 4. You can do the magic ring if you want, but it's a granny, so I don't mind a small hole in the centre. Okay, so I'm going to join that with a slip stitch to make a ring, and in the centre of this ring I'm going to place a UK stacked double crochet, which is a stacked single crochet in the US. So I'm just going to pull up a loop through that ring, yarn over and pull through both of those. Then in this vertical side one here, insert my hook, make another UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US. Now that's got me up to the height of a UK treble, and I'm going to place 2 in there. Now UK treble is a double crochet in the US, so if I say a UK treble crochet, you will know, if you work in American terms, that I mean a double crochet for you guys. So there is the equivalent of 3 UK trebles. I'm going to chain 1 and place another 3 in the same space. I'm working over the tail, so if I do want to pull it closed a little bit, I can do that if I want to. Also, it stops me having to sew it in. So now I have 2 lots. I want a total of 4 lots of 3 with 1 chain in between. There's my third. I want 1 more, so I'll pull that aside a little way and place 3 more in that space. Now I'm using cotton for this, but you can use any yarn, as I said, but I just thought it might make it nice to make something for the table or something for Christmas or something. Okay, so I'm just going to join to the top of my stack, which is these 2 loops at the top of this stitch, with a UK double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up my loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those, and that gives me the same distance between my stitches as a chain. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook and pull up my loop and do my stack. I know it's in the UK a stack double, but a stack single in the US, so I just call it the stack. Okay, so I'm going to place 2 UK treble crochets alongside that in that same space. Just get rid of that tail, shall we? It's got a nice little, don't need to pull it tight or anything. It won't get in the way. This does create a few ends, I must say. So if you don't like ends, got your work cut out. So in the next one, I'm going to place a full corner, which is a segment of 3, just as we've been doing all along. 1 chain and 3 more. Okay, so I'm going to do a full corner in this one and a full corner in this one. I'll pause the video then and I shall come back to you and we'll finish this corner off together. Okay, so I'm back all the way around. I need to go into this one, place my last 3, and I'm going to join the same way, top of the stack, going through the 2 loops with a UK double crochet. Okay, so again I'm going to do my stack, and I'm going to place 3 in there and 3 in the side. Then I'm going to place a full corner in this next corner. So far, very straightforward. This is where it gets a little tricky. On my very last stitch of this 3, I'm going to go through these 2 loops. I'm going to cut this yarn. I'm going to bring in a white yarn. If I can find the end. Nope, hang on a second. Okay, so I'm going to change colour. So I'm going to hold on to this and bring in my new yarn and complete that stitch with that colour. So you do want to secure these, and you need to sew them in at the end. There's a lot of this, so unfortunately we will have a lot of ends. It's just kind of the nature of this one. So you can either work over some or not. It's completely up to you. So let's separate the ends now. I'm going to leave them because otherwise it will get very confusing. Okay, so now this is another side. I'm going to place 3 in that side. And don't worry if the these joins do look a bit messy or anything like that. We'll be working over them. So don't worry if yours are quite messy. Now a full corner in this one here. Just bear with me one moment. Sorry about that. I just had to refer to my the one I made earlier because it's very confusing. So this last one, I'm going to change colour again. Okay, so you want to just have the 2 loops left. And it is annoying to keep changing, but we're going to change again in a minute. It just doesn't look very nice carrying your yarn. I've tried it. Okay, so I'm going to finish that stitch in this colour. And once again, I'm going to secure this. Now, it's imperative that you do that somehow. It gets a little tricky and a little messy if you don't. You have a preferred method? That's great. Okay, so losing them tails again, forgetting about those. We're going to have a lot of spaghetti hanging out the back of our work this time. In this one, we are going to place 3. But on our third one, we're going to stop there and change our colour back. I have tried other methods. It's by far the less confusing, and it looks confusing, but believe me, it's the less of the evils. Again, we need to secure this. Oh my, more fingers and thumbs. Still, they're hands, so it's just the way it is. Okay, again, ignoring all those tails, we are going to continue around our corner in white. our side in white, but on our last stitch, you probably guessed it, we need to stop there, change back to our green to finish our corner. Now this was a trade-off. I could have started in the side and it would not have been seamless, but I'm more concerned with my granny squares being seamless than I am another little join. So yeah, I can't get that in. There we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish off my green. Okay, so bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to bring the one that I was working on to show you, and I'll come straight back. Okay, so this is the one that I made earlier, and I did a few experiments. I wanted to see if I could make this a point, so I did a treble 3 together, but it didn't work out the way that went like that. And I wanted a pot, so none of these really worked that well, so I'm going to abandon that idea. So now this is the end of my green, so I'm just going to do a chain and slip stitch into that stitch rather than, okay, end that, and now we're just purely on the white. Okay, so you can join, look at that, any corner that you like. We'll pick this white one because it's not got a tail hanging off it, miraculously. Okay, and we're just going to join our white to there, and we're going to do our stack. And our 2 trebles at the side. Okay. Now, ordinarily I'd work over those tails, but it's really no point, is there? There's so many of them. So with this one, all I did was some chains and do kind of like a double treble all the way down to make this pot. But I'm not really sure that I like it as such. And this didn't go according to plan. So we're going to leave it. We're just going to do a whole round in white. And that will, where we can, we'll work over a tail. Even if it's just a little way, like this one, I can probably work over 2 tails there, and then deal with them afterwards a little more securely. So here we are. That dropped that one. Now I'm going to, this is how I do my corners. I'm going to give you a little insight. This is over here and I want it over there. So I'm just going to grab, not that white, but I'm going to grab this green. You don't have to do this, but it's just a way of working over the tail. So now when I work this corner, I can work over that tail at the same time. It just brings it across, and I can get rid of some of my tails that way. Okay, finish off my corner. Get rid of that now. Looking better already. Okay, so we're going to do our 3 here. If you wanted to, this is where you could bring in a colour and make a little... I'm going to carry the yarn though this time. So finish my colour, finish my white, I mean. Bring in my colour. We'll give it a little tie, just because it does help a little bit. Just tie it a small amount, just to secure it. It doesn't come back on itself. Okay, so I'm going to work. No, I won't. I'll work over the white. It doesn't work, does it? Snip it off, and that's pain. But well, you know, we've got 20 million of them, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, so now in here, I'm just going to do 1, 2. Didn't go through all of it. And 3. Finish that. Let's get rid of this. Isn't that about the long tail? 20 million tails. What does it matter just having another one? Don't have to do this pot, but I just thought it'd be nice. Finish that off. Give it a little secure. Look at that spaghetti. Oh my God. I did try working them, but it didn't work out. I will show you exactly what happens if you try working over them. Some of them looked better than others, but you get this, you know, and you can see it, and I don't like it. It's just not great. So yeah, abandoned that idea. So here we are back in our normal granny. So 3 in the next stitch. That was just an add-on. Okay, now we're doing our corner. Nothing to work over there, unfortunately. Normal corner. And can we work over anything? Yes, we've got a couple of tails. Woot woot. Don't want to grab the wrong thing because that doesn't help. It only helps if you can remove some from, well, we'll still have to secure them a little bit. But it saves a bit of work, and I'm all for that. Okay, full corner. We're getting to the top of our tree, and this is where I tried to do a peak, and it didn't work, so I'm going to abandon that idea. But if you had a little motif of a star, or just a little star, you can sew that on there. Look pretty cute. And so 3 there. Drop those. Any here? Should be. We'll just work over the green then. And 3. So don't have to work over any of them if you'd rather just sew them in. And then finish the corner. Going to chain 1 and secure it. When I've finally finished, I do a chain in the corner and secure it, because then it is identical to every other corner. Oh look, another end to sew in. There we are. We'll hide them for now underneath. And we have, oh, I didn't really do a good job. Tuck in. Look at that. Once you've secured your ends, you've got your Christmas tree. And of course you can go around again if you want. You can go around in a different colour. So, yeah. I think it still looks like a Christmas tree, even though we haven't peaked that top. But I think it's kind of cute. Look good for anything really, like a table runner or something Christmassy. Thanks for watching. And I hope you like that one. Bye-bye for now. So to make this square, I'm going to make... the beginning is very much like any other granny square. So I'm going to make a slip knot and chain 4. You can do the magic ring if you want, but it's a granny, so I don't mind a small hole in the centre. Okay, so I'm going to join that with a slip stitch to make a ring. And in the centre of this ring, I'm going to place a UK stacked double crochet, which is a stacked single crochet in the US. So I'm just going to pull up a loop through that ring, yarn over and pull through both of those. Then in this vertical side one here, insert my hook, make another UK double crochet, which is a single crochet in the US. Now that's got me up to the height of a UK treble, and I'm going to place 2 in there. Now UK treble is a double crochet in the US, so if I say a UK treble crochet, you will know if you work in American terms, that I mean a double crochet for you guys. So there is the equivalent of 3 UK trebles. Going to chain 1 and place another 3 in the same space. I'm working over the tail, so if I do want to pull it closed a little bit, I can do that if I want to. Also, it stops me having to sew it in. So now I have 2 lots. I want a total of 4 lots of 3 with 1 chain in between. There's my third. I want 1 more, so I'll pull that aside a little way and place 3 more in that space. Now I'm using cotton for this, but you can use any yarn, as I said, but I just thought it might make it nice to make something for the table or something for Christmas or something. Okay, so I'm just going to join to the top of my stack, which is these 2 loops at the top of this stitch, with a UK double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up my loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those, and that gives me the same distance between my stitches as a chain. Okay, so I'm going to insert my hook and pull up my loop and do my stack. I know it's in the UK a stack double, but a stack single in the US, so I just call it the stack. Okay, so I'm going to place 2 UK treble crochets alongside that in that same space. Just get rid of that tail, shall we? It's got a nice little, don't need to pull it tight or anything. It won't get in the way. This does create a few ends, I must say. So if you don't like ends, you've got your work cut out. So in the next one, I'm going to place a full corner, which is a segment of 3, just as we've been doing all along. 1 chain and 3 more. Okay, so I'm going to do a full corner in this one and a full corner in this one. I'll pause the video then and I shall come back to you and we'll finish this corner off together. Okay, so I'm back all the way around. I need to go into this one, place my last 3. And I'm going to join the same way, top of the stack, going through the 2 loops with a UK double crochet. Okay, so again, I'm going to do my stack. And I'm going to place 3 in there. And 3 in the side. Then I'm going to place a full corner in this next corner. So far, very straightforward. This is where it gets a little tricky. On my very last stitch of this 3, I'm going to go through these 2 loops. I'm going to cut this yarn. I'm going to bring in a white yarn. If I can find the end. Nope, hang on a second. Okay, so I'm going to change colour. So I'm going to hold on to this and bring in my new yarn and complete that stitch with that colour. So you do want to secure these and you need to sew them in at the end. There's a lot of this, so unfortunately we will have a lot of ends. It's just kind of the nature of this one. So you can either work over some or not. It's completely up to you. So let's separate the ends now. I'm going to leave them because otherwise it will get very confusing. Okay, So now this is another side. I'm going to place 3 in that side. And don't worry if the these joins do look a bit messy or anything like that. We'll be working over them. So don't worry if yours are quite messy. Now a full corner in this one here. Just bear with me one moment. Sorry about that. I just had to refer to my the one I made earlier because it's very confusing. So this last one, I'm going to change colour again. Okay, so you want to just have the 2 loops left. And it is annoying to keep changing, but we're going to change again in a minute. It just doesn't look very nice carrying your yarn. I've tried it. Okay. So I'm going to finish that stitch in this colour. And once again, I'm going to secure this. Now, it's imperative that you do that somehow. It gets a little tricky and a little messy if you don't. You have a preferred method? That's great. Okay, so losing them tails again, forgetting about those. We're going to have a lot of spaghetti hanging out the back of our work this time. In this one, we are going to place 3. But on our third one, we're going to stop there and change our colour back. I have tried other methods. It's by far the less confusing, and it looks confusing. But believe me, it's the less of the evils. Again, we need to secure this. Oh my, more fingers and thumbs. Still, they're hands, so it's just the way it is. Okay, again, ignoring all those tails, we are going to continue around our corner in white. Our side in white, but on our last stitch, you probably guessed it, we need to stop there, change back to our green to finish our corner. Now this was a trade-off. I could have started in the side and it would not have been seamless, but I'm more concerned with my granny squares being seamless than I am another little join. So yeah, I can't get that in. There we are. Okay, so now I'm just going to finish off my green. Okay, so bear with me one second. I'm just going to bring the one that I was working on to show you, and I'll come straight back. Okay, so this is the one that I made earlier, and I did a few experiments. I wanted to see if I could make this a point, so I did a treble 3 together, but it didn't work out the way that went like that. And I wanted a pot, so none of these really worked that well, so I'm going to abandon that idea. So now this is the end of my green, so I'm just going to do a chain and slip stitch into that stitch rather than, okay, end that, and now we're just purely on the white. Okay, so you can join, look at that, any corner that you like. We'll pick this white one because it's not got a tail hanging off it, miraculously. Okay, and we're just going to join our white to there, and we're going to do our stack. And our 2 trebles at the side. Okay, now ordinarily I'd work over those tails, but there's really no point, is there? There's so many of them. So with this one, all I did was some chains and do kind of like a double treble all the way down to make this pot. But I'm not really sure that I like it as such. And this didn't go according to plan, so we're going to leave it. We're just going to do a whole round in white, and that will, where we can, we'll work over a tail, even if it's just a little way, like this one. I can probably work over 2 tails there, and then deal with them afterwards a little more securely. So here we are. That dropped that one. Now I'm going to, this is how I do my corners. I'm going to give you a little insight. This is over here and I want it over there. So I'm just going to grab, not that white, but I'm going to grab this green. You don't have to do this, but it's just a way of working over the tail. So now when I work this corner, I can work over that tail at the same time. It just brings it across. And I can get rid of some of my tails that way. Okay, finish off my corner. Get rid of that now. Looking better already. Okay, so we're going to do our 3 here. If you wanted to, this is where you could bring in a colour and make a little... I'm going to carry the yarn though this time. So finish my colour, finish my white, bring in my colour. We'll give it a little tie, just because it does help a little bit. Just tie it a small amount, just to secure it. It doesn't come back on itself. Okay, so I'm going to work... No, I won't. I'll work over the white. That doesn't work, does it? Snip it off, and that's pain. But, well, you know, we've got 20 million of them, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, so now, in here, I'm just going to do 1, 2. Didn't go through all of it. And 3. Finish that. Let's get rid of this. Doesn't matter about the long tail. 20 million tails. What does it matter just having another one? Don't have to do this pot, but I just thought it'd be nice. Finish that off. Give it a little secure. Look at that spaghetti. Oh my God. I did try working them, but it didn't work out. I will show you exactly what happens if you try working over them. Some of them looked better than others, but you get this, you know, and you can see it, and I don't like it. It's just not great. So yeah, abandoned that idea. So here we are. We are back in our normal granny. So 3 in the next stitch. That was just an add-on. Okay, now we're doing our corner. Nothing to work over there, unfortunately. Normal corner. And can we work over anything? Yes, we've got a couple of tails. Woot woot. Don't want to grab the wrong thing because that doesn't help. It only helps if you can remove some from... Well, we'll still have to secure them a little bit. But it saves a bit of work. and I'm all for that. Okay, full corner. We're getting to the top of our tree, and this is where I tried to do a peak and it didn't work, so I'm going to abandon that idea. But if you had a little motif of a star or just a little star, you can sew that on there. Look pretty cute. And so 3 there. Drop those. Any here? Should be. We'll just work over the green then. And 3. So don't have to work over any of them if you'd rather just sew them in. And then finish the corner. Going to chain 1 and secure it. When I'm finally finished, I do a chain in the corner and secure it, because then it is identical to every other corner. Oh look, another end to sew in. There we are. We'll hide them for now underneath. And we have, oh, I didn't really do a good job. Tuck in. Look at that. Once you've secured your ends, you've got your Christmas tree. And of course you can go around again if you want. We can go around in a different colour. So, yeah. I think it still looks like a Christmas tree, even though we haven't peaked that top. But I think it's kind of cute. Look good for anything really, like table runner or something Christmassy. Thanks for watching. And I hope you like that one. Bye-bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make my Poinsettia Square. Now I designed this a long time ago and I never did a tutorial, and then I promptly forgot how I did it. So I recently sat down and worked out a way to do this again. Now this is made with a DK weight yarn, and obviously it's in the Christmassy colours. This one is the same but with Aran yarn, and the petals kind of curve in because it is thicker. But obviously I did up the crochet hook size. Bear with me, I'm going to sneeze, guys. Sorry about that, it was a big one. So yeah, this one was made with Aran, but of course you can make any of them bigger by just adding colours or more rounds. So this is the one that I've just recently done, and the one I'm going to show you is, I think, slightly different. And the other difference is I've used a bit of a thicker, more sturdy glitz yarn, but you can use any yarn that you want, and obviously just use the corresponding crochet hook size for it. Okay, so just a word then on the tutorial itself. So if this is part of my year of granny squares, the left-handed version will start once this one finishes, and there'll be a link in the description box for that timestamp should you want it. I know a lot of you like to watch both for me anyway, but if this is forming part of a compilation, the left-handed version will be separate. Okay, so I'm going to just pause the video for a moment while I get set up and we can get started. I'm using a 4mm crochet hook for this one. Sorry about that. I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. They looked identical when I picked them up, but obviously they're not. So as this yarn is a tad thicker than the previous yarn that I used, I'm going to use the 4.5. It is a DK, but it is quite a sturdy and thicker DK. So I'm going to do a magic ring because I want the centre to be nice, and well, I can pull that to however I want it. So if I like it like that, that's fine, but I can also pull it to be completely closed. So with that chain 4 making it into a ring, you do get a slight hole, and if you don't mind that, then you can go ahead with that. But my magic ring is very simple. I just make a ring, insert my hook, pull that through and do a chain, and you've made your magic ring. So normally speaking, when I do a tutorial, if you've watched me, you'll know that I do a stack double crochet, which is a stack single in the US. But for the purposes of this, I want every single one of my posts to be even in size. And with the stack being slightly thicker, it wouldn't be. So this chain here won't count. I'm just going to do 2 chain and then another one for a space, and I'm going to place a UK treble crochet in the ring, which is yarn over, insert and pull up a loop. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 and chain 1. So in the US that is a double crochet, in the UK it's a treble crochet. And I want a total excuse me, of 8 posts with 8 chains. So we're going to do another one, go into the ring, working over this knotted tail, exactly the same, chain 1. And we're going to do that until we have 8 posts and 8 chain spaces. Okay, so I've got 4. These chains at the beginning count as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I should pause the video and I'll come back to you once I've finished my 8th post. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to chain 1 as I have after every one, and then I'm going to, if you look at your chains, you want a chain space between, and then you just want to slip stitch into the top of your chain. So now you can't tell which one is which. I'm going to chain 1, pull it down. I'm going to cut this yarn. I've lost all my scissors for now. I don't know where I've put them. Anyway, so now that row round is complete, and all we have to do then is give this a tug. It will work its way loose while I'm working, but you can decide how big you want this centre to be. Okay, so now I'm going to bring in the red. If I can find the end, I'll bring in the red. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to join it anywhere but here because I don't want to work over 2 tails at the same time. I'll go in this one. Okay, so you join it however you normally would. And what I want to do now is chain 1, and I'm going to treble, which is a UK term, remember, double in the US. I'm going to treble 5 together. So I'm going to yarn over, go into that space, pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That's 1. Going to yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 2. Yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. That's 3. Yarn over, go back in, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. We've got 4. So we have 5 loops. Going to do that one more time. And then I'm going to yarn over, pull through all of those loops, and I'm going to chain 3. And then I'm going to do the same in every single space. So I'm going to yarn over now. And if that does do this, by all means, just put your finger on that loop and it will stop it from happening. Okay, so I'm going to treble 5 together. I've been on holiday and you can tell, can't you? Because my brain does not want to say the right words. It just does not. So that's 4. That's 5. Okay. So now we're going to yarn over, pull through all of those and chain 3. All right, we're going to do that in every single space all the way around. I'm working over my tail, which I'll stop doing when I get to this point, and I'll work over this one. Not this, because that's my centre one. We must leave that one alone, but we can try and hide and work over all of the others. So just do that in every single space all the way around, and I'll catch up with you once I've completed my last treble 5 together in this space here. Okay, so I've done my last. I'm going to do my last 3 chain, and I'm going to slip stitch into this stitch, not the large one that you see there, but this one here. If you go into the previous one, then the space between is too big. I'm going to do my chain, pull it down, cut my yarn, and take my red away. And now we're going to work with 2 colours. Okay, so it is slightly cupped, but this next round will pull that out nicely. It's only, it does lay flat. So we're going to do 2 colours, white and green. We are now going to work on this round here, okay? So I'm going to start with white, and you can start anywhere you want, okay? So I'm just going to start in here. Now, I'm going to bring in my colour, and I'm going to do my stack in this round. So this is the stack double crochet UK or stack single crochet in the US. It takes the place of the 2 turning chain. Some people have always done 3, but I've only ever done 2, and now I do the stack. So ignoring this tail sticking out, we're just going to work over it. I'm going to yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those. Now this one kind of post here on the left hand side, insert my hook. Of course, if you're watching this left-handed, it won't be. but anyway, in this leg, I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through both of those. So the way I do my join causes this. I'm just going to give that a little tug, and it will disappear. And this is how it will look. And it is the height of 2 chains, as you can see. So now I'm going to make 3 treble crochets in the same place, working over the tail. 1, 2, and there's my 3rd. Okay, but before I finish that, I'm just going to hang that down there. So I've got my 2 loops. I'm going to bring in the green colour, and I'm going to leave a nice long tail for getting rid of that. And I'm just going to finish that stitch in green. I'm not going to let that get too baggy. And now I'm going to treble 5 together with the green. So when I do it first off, I'm taking this tail with me. You don't have to do that, but I find it is cleaner if you do, okay? When I say cleaner, I mean you get less lines at the back carrying your yarn. And we're going to work over this white tail at the same time. So I'm yarning over with my tail and my yarn. I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through 3 because I'm pulling through the tail at the same time. I'm just going to give that a tug so it disappears. Now I'm going to do the rest. So that's once, working over the tail and the white yarn because I want it in the next corner, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, I'm going to yarn over. Now there's 2 ways you can do this. I'm going to yarn over and pull through with the white yarn. You can make 1 chain afterwards, pulling through with the green, but I think it looks nicer. So I'm going to make sure that this doesn't get too baggy by holding onto it at the back there. And I'm going to yarn over and pull through with my white. I am going to do 1 very small chain. And now working over my tail and my green. So I'm just going to pull that over here. I'm going to place a corner in the next stitch. Now it does seem like a long way, but it isn't when you get these stitches all in. So I'm going to place 4 UK trebles in there. Now if you don't like working over the tail, you don't have to, but you do need to carry this green. So 1, 2, 3, the tail wants to stick up and annoy me, 4. Now this is half a corner. This is going to be a full corner. I'm going to pull that over slightly, and I'm going to chain 2 and place 4 more in the same space. 1, 2, 3, and when I'm not going to finish the 4th one. That's my tail just poking through there. We'll get rid of that. and place the fourth one in, but leave 2 loops on the hook. So now I'm going to bring my green back. I'm going to work over the white yarn. I'm going to finish that stitch in the green. Okay, so now I'm going to do my treble 5 together. I'm going to work over this as well, because I don't like sewing in. In fact, I hate sewing in. So working over all of those, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, just the same as before. I don't like that. Hang on, I'm going to get rid of that tail because it's tufty now. Oh, it's got even worse. I'm just going to pull it through like that. I'm going to cut it off. So when it goes back, disappear inside. It will disappear inside there and it's gone. So I'm going to finish off 5. Yarn over with the white. Nearly messed up, Tracy. Can't do that. So we're now going to work over the green as well. Okay, pull through all, do 1 chain. Okay, but I pull it very low because I don't really want it as a space. Now I'm going to work over these. You can drop the red if you want, but I'm going to work over these tails. I'm going to do my full corner. So that's 4 UK treble crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 2 chains, and another 4. 1, 2. It's getting a bit tight. My yarn won't pull. Why are you stuck? It's stuck. There we are. 3. And when I do the 4th, I'll start it with white, and then I'm going to bring back my green. So I'm just going to work over the white and that red tail now. I don't need that stitch to be baggy, so I'm going to give it a little tug. So I'm going to do my treble 5 together, working over those 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, drop the green, bring back the white. It does seem confusing, that's why I'm doing the whole round with you. Yarn over, pull through all of those. 1 very small chain to finish that stitch. Now we're going to work over. You can get rid of that red tail now if you want to. You don't have to work over it too much, and then that won't be quite so confusing. But we're going to work over the green, and we're just going to do our full corner in here. So I'm going to give that a little tug so it's not too big enough. My wool is collapsing on my wool genie, so it's not flowing as well as it should. Hang on a sec. Let's get rid of that. If I bring this one over this side, it's easier. I'm working with wool genies, and I've crossed my yarn somehow though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 chain. Oops. Sometimes I think it's better, if you want, just to watch the first time and then perhaps do it together the second time. This is my last corner. Well, last full corner. I'm going to finish that stitch in this green. So I'll be working over the white because I still need it to finish off the last corner. So we're going to do that, working over the white. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Drop this, which we now need to make a nice, we can get rid of this but leave a nice long tail because we do need to secure that one. Okay, don't even have to really work over it if you don't want to, but I will. I'm going to pull through all of those with my white. Now I'm going to finish off my white corner. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to do a half treble, but I'm just giving that a little tug and it's pulled it through nicely in the top of my stack. So here's the top of my stack. We've got the 2 loops to go in just there. So I'm going to do a UK half treble because I had 2 chain in between all of mine, and that gives me a nice 2 chain space, kind of same size gap. And this is where we are going to change up our corner. So I'm going to go in and do that stacked double crochet, which is a stacked single in the US. So I'm going to do 1, go into this post at the side and do another, just to get me up to the height of my UK treble, which is obviously a double. So I'm going to do 2 more in that space, 1 and 2. And now we want to go into every stitch along here, so along our corner. So we're going to make sure we go into that first one, which can sometimes look a little hidden. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just bear with me a second, a postman is here. Okay, so now we've gone into our 4 along here. We're going to go into our green stitch, and we want to go into the next one along, and I did make that a little small, but I've managed it. There we are. So we've got 2 really in our green leaf, and then we want to go into the 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4 of our previous corner. Now we're going to make a full corner, which is 3 UK treble crochets, 1 chain, and 3 more in the same space. Okay, pull that across slightly because we do need to go into that first stitch along our 4 of our previous corner. Okay, so I'm going to stop there for a sec and we'll have a little look. So what we've done is we've made half a corner, we've gone into our 4 stitches, and we've gone into our green stitch here, and we've gone into the next one. So we will get a little bit of a gap there, but there's nothing we can do about that really. We've gone into all of our 4 stitches along this corner, and we've made a full corner, and we're starting back along this side. We're going to repeat that again. So we're going to go into our green stitch, our leaf, and into the one next to it, which I've probably made a bit too tight. Nope, I've got in. Incidentally, if you ever find that difficult, if you just get a darning needle, like sewing up your stitches, you can just go in there and give it a little wiggle like this, and it gets a little bigger for you, that's all. So just a little tip. If you find it hard at the end of any row or anything to get into your stitch, that's just a way in. And then 4 along our white previous corner, and that's our repeat then. 2 stitches in our leaves and 1 in every stitch, and our corner is 3, 1 chain and 3. And I'm going to pause the video then, and I shall catch up with you once I've gone all the way around and I get back to this corner again. Okay, so I'm all the way around, I have 1 more to do, and now I'm back at my corner. So I'm just going to complete that corner by making 3 UK trebles in there. And this is my last round. It doesn't have to be. You can pick out some colours and make some colours and make this a much bigger square if you want by just going around. You can do UK double crochets or singles in the US and do some colours. You can do anything. But this, to all intents and purposes, is the end of my square. So this time I'm going to chain one, and I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to get my darning needle and thread that up. Oh, I need to pull it out first. That would have been silly, wouldn't it? So I'm just going to thread that. And now I'm going to do an invisible join. So I'm going to get the 2 loops of my stack, which is here. And I'm going to go from the back to the front. And then once I'm there, and that loop is as long as a stitch, I'm going to get this. This is my last stitch. I'm going to go from the front to the back, and I'm going to aim it downwards, just downwards. So I've gone into the stitch below as well. Now I'm going to pull that until it is the same height as the other, or thickness as the other stitches. You can't see which one it is now. So I'm just going to hold that in place so it doesn't move, and I shall secure this by making a stitch here. That's fine. And now I've got a loop, a very small loop. I'm going to go through that again, and I'm going to give it a tug so it's now a knot. And now I'm going to bury it into this corner. Just going to go down and along, go down and along through those stitches. That should do me. Okay, I'm going to give that a little tug, and it hides that knot. Make sure that you don't pull this tight. It is a little smaller anyway because that's where we started off. And I'm going to split this stitch here with my needle and go back through all of that corner and along. Split the stitch so that when I pull it through, it doesn't pull all the way through. It just stays there like that. And then I can get my scissors. They're not very good scissors, they're old, and just cut that off. So now all I've got to do is secure these. So at this stage, I like the way that looks like that. So I'm just going to leave that as it is, and I'm going to thread this up. And I'm going to do the same here. So this is the stitch it's come out of. So I'm going to go back, like stitch that there. When I've got a nice small loop, I'm going to go back through that loop and pull it tight. So now it's made a little knot there, and I'm just going to feed this through my centre. Don't have to do it all at once. You can come out and go back in. It's a fat needle, so it doesn't like to always go through very easy. I do have a thinner one, but well, I usually use the thinner one, it's just slightly thinner. But on camera, I hate not being able to thread it in front of you guys because it doesn't always want to play. Okay, so that's enough. But you can go around as many times as you want. You just don't have to stop there if you want to. Carry on, you can. So now all I've got to do is secure these two. Now, if I'd have worked over them a little better, I wouldn't have to do that. Now, on the reverse side, you do get a little bit of this, but it's not so bad carrying it the way I have. That is all you'll see, and I don't think it's too bad. The reverse side of any crochet is not that great anyway, is it, to be honest? We all just like the reverse side. So I just now need to bury this a bit more. And it's already buried through these here, so I'm just going to carry on and get it through the rest, if I can, of this here. Oh, that went a bit easier than I expected. I can carry on and go through the green, which is a brilliant idea. So I shall get it through there. And now I can bury it back through the green. Just sort of split that stitch, and it will hide it nicely. Pull that through and get my scissors. Rid of that one. Just the white one to go then. So all I'm going to do with that, and it's very short, which is not great, I'm just going to go through here anyway, all the way back. and come out that side. Doesn't have to be perfect. And now I'm going to threadle it. Push that through there. And now just give it a tug through. And that's done. All of my ends are gone. My scissors blended into something red. I couldn't find them then. And now we can just have a little look at our square. So I really like that one. I don't know why it took me so long to make the tutorial, to be honest with you. I kind of forgot what I did, and I don't know why I made such a meal out of it, but I think it's pretty nice. I like this square. Hope you like that. Thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now. Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this really cute wreath granny square. And I've edged it in 2 different ways, and I've also going to show you how to make this tie, which you can make into bootlaces or sort of ties around mittens and everything like that. So, and we discuss other ways of decorating your wreath. So this one is made with a silver thread, and this is really glitz yarn. I don't know if it's picking it up, but this is ultra glitzy, this yarn. So just a note on the tutorial then, if this is part of my Year of Granny Squares, then the left-handed version will start as soon as the right-handed version finishes. If it is part of a compilation, then the left-handed and right-handed videos will be separate. But if it is, the left-handed is also on this tutorial, you'll get a timestamp in the description box to show where that starts. But I know a lot of you like to watch both for me. So for this tutorial then, this is all DK weight yarn. I have used this yarn. It is called Signet Glitzy or Glitter, Signet Glitter DK, and I've used white, red, and of course green, which you can see and is over here. I've used my Wool Genies for this as well. So everything that you see you will find in my shop, hobbyrocks.co.uk, well, apart from the yarn, but I do have King Cole Glitz. So for this I used a 4.5mm crochet hook. For the tie I used a 3.5mm crochet hook. You also need your darning needles. There are only 2 ends, the first and the last, if you work over them. And you'll also need a pair of scissors. Okay, so I'm going to clear all of this away and we can get started. Okay, so for this square I've got 3 colours of yarn. I have a glitz yarn as well, so I've got white, and these are ones I recently made into a bottle bag. So if you've seen that video, I'm going to be using these quite a bit. These are just an inexpensive DK weight that I got, and it is by Signet, and it's called Signet Glitter DK, but it's a good size strand on these. The glitz is probably just about picking up. So that's the colours, and you'll need darning needle, and I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. I did toy with the idea of trying a 5 because it is a good size strand, but I opted for the 4.5. Anyway, so to start off we're going to do a magic loop, and for those of you who don't like doing the magic loop, you can do a chain 4 and just close it with a slip stitch and work over the tail to pull it tighter. But my magic loop is the easiest you will ever see. You just make a loop, insert the hook and pull the yarn through, and once you've done your chain, you've done it. There's none of that winding around your fingers and stuff. Okay, so in here I want a total of 12 UK treble crochets, which are double crochets in the US. So if you work in US terms, if I say a treble crochet, you'll know I mean your double. So the first one I'm going to do though is a stacked double crochet in the US, in the UK, sorry, a stacked single in the US. So I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop. So I have 2 on the hook, yarn over and pull through both of those. And in this post over here on this side, just that one post, insert my hook, yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over and pull through both. So if you look at the side, that is the equivalent of 2 chain. So now I'm going to place 11 UK treble crochets, and to do that we yarn over, go in, pull up our loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. So that is the equivalent of 2 then, my stack, and this one. So I need another 10 in that same space, working over that knotted kind of tail as we go. Okay, just nice and simple. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video then, and I will catch up to you once I have my 12. So I've got 12 now. All I'm going to do is tug this a little bit so that it brings it together. It doesn't have to be secured at this stage, but the top of our stack, there's our first chain, and there is the equivalent of our second. Okay, so you get the V, the nice 2 loops to go into, just like any other stitch, far less confusing. So I'm going to slip stitch into that stitch. Okay, and just pull it tight so that I've slip stitched. I'm not going to make another stitch that way. I'm going to do a chain, pull it low, and just end off. You could have just brought in 2 loops, you know, like finished your stitch with the other colour, but I do like to end off. Okay, so now I need the green. So I'm going to take away the white and bring the green in. So I just pause that while I get set up. Okay, so I am just going to join, and I don't normally join the same stitch, but I am going to this time. So there is the one I slip stitched into. I'm going to bring in my new colour, if I can pick it up. I think I need to cut my fingernails, they're getting too long to pick things up. I don't know how people manage with long ones, I really don't. So I'm just going to join that, how I normally would, without dropping it. There we are. And I'm just going to give this tail a little tug so it doesn't make a bulge. Okay, and in that first stitch I'm going to do my stack again. So I'm going to insert my hook and pull up my loop, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm going to go into this post on the side there and do that again. So I'm up to the right height. Okay, so now if I just give this end and this end a little tug, they disappear under there nicely. So I'm going to do one more in the same stitch. One UK treble, should I say, in the same stitch. And in the next one, I'm working over the tails as I go, and I'm going to put 2 more UK trebles in that stitch too. And again in the next one. So basically I am putting 2 stitches in every single stitch all the way around, working over those tails. Okay, so I'm increasing in every stitch. So I shall pause the video then, and I'm going to do 2 in each one until I get here, and then as we started with 12 we will end up with 24. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and I will catch up with you when I get to my last stitch. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and again in our top stitch we just count them, make sure we've got all that we should have. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24. So we go into the top of our stack, and we're going to move that tail out of the way. We're going to slip stitch again into that stitch. We want to pull that low, we don't want it to mask itself as a stitch. And I'm going to chain 1, pull it down and end off this green colour. Okay, and now we want to bring back our white, because we are going to turn this into a square. And so I'm going to pause it a second while I get rid of the green and bring the white back in. Okay, so here I am, and again I'm going to go into the same stitch that I just slip stitched into. Normally speaking I don't do that, but I kind of want to make sure that you guys are going in the right sort of stitch, because sometimes when you've got a join it can look a little bit like you've got an extra one. So by doing this, that kind of forgets that sort of thing. Okay, so now we've joined into this stitch here, we're going to make half a corner in here. So I'm going to do my stack again to get me up to the right height of a UK treble crochet, and place one UK treble crochet in the same stitch, and I will go over both of my tails again. So at the end of this we should just have 2 tails. My yarn isn't flowing, there we go. It's because the ball is collapsing down, squashing itself. Okay, so now we're going to do the side. I just need to give this a little tug because that end will then disappear nicely in there. So the next stitch is a half treble or a half double in the US. So we yarn over, we go into the next stitch, working over the tail, yarn over and pull through all 3. And in the next 3 stitches we're going to place a UK double crochet, which are single crochets in the US. Okay, so that's 1, 2 and 3. Next stitch we're going to bring back our half treble crochet. Remember, if I say half treble and you work in the US terms, it's a half double. So now we're going to do a full corner in our next stitch, and that's this one here. So we're going to place 1 UK treble and 2. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to do 2 more in the same space. So we're just going to turn that corner. And now we've worked over enough of those tails, I think, especially as we've done a full corner on them. I'm going to get rid of them because I don't want them to get in the way and be confusing. Okay, so now we've got a whole side. We're going to do that again. I'll do this next one with you, and that is a half treble in that stitch. And remember, if I say double crochet, it's your single. We're going to do 3 of those. 1, 2, 3, and mirror in the other side. We want another half treble, and we're back to a corner. So that is 1, 2, 1 chain and 2 more in the same space. So now we'll stop and take a look at that. So we're making our little square into, sorry, a little circle back into its square. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video here, but what I want you to do is to mirror this along here. So half treble, 3 UK doubles, a half treble and another corner, and then do our side. And once you get to the last half treble crochet, I'll come back to you and we'll finish off this corner together, and I'll show you what we do next. Okay, so that didn't take long at all, and now we're going to go back into this half a corner and complete our last 2 UK treble crochets. And we need to close this corner by, in the top of our stack, just making a UK double crochet or a US single. So we're just going to insert our hook into the top, yarn over, pull up the loop, and yarn over and pull through them. So we've got the same sort of distance between our 2 sets of stitches as we have at every corner. So we've now turned it into a nice little square, and we need to carry on. So I'm going to, in this gap that we've just created, I'm going to do that stack again to get up to the height of a UK treble, and I'm going to place 1 in the same space. Now we need to go in every stitch along our side, so don't forget that one that looks a little bit dippy there. Not say dippy, I mean it dips down a little bit, and then so that is the 2 from our previous corner. And now we need to go into these 5 along the side here, just making a UK treble in each of those. If I go too fast, then just pause and catch up with me. Okay, so that is our last of the 5 along that side, and we're back at the corner. And we're going to, actually, It wasn't, was it? But anyway, we're going to go in this one here. I've already gone into one of those corners. I did 6. And so now I'm going to make my full corner, which is 2 UK treble crochets, 1 chain, and 2 more in the same space. But the only thing that I will say is be very careful not to forget that first stitch, which sometimes gets a little hidden. Okay, so we're now going to go all the way along the side, again to the next corner, and then place a full corner in there. So if we have a look, we've got half a corner, and then we've got 1 in each one along the side. We've got a full corner, and now we're going to go in each one along this side, place another corner there, go in every one along this side, place another corner there, and every one along this side. And once you get back to the very last of your stitches along here, I'll pause the video now and come back to you when we get there. Okay, so I've done my last stitch along that side, and I just need to complete this corner by 2 more in that same space. So this is my last round, but you doesn't have to be. You can carry it on. You can bring some red in at this point, make a few little thinner rounds, but that's my last one for this round. So I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to cut my yarn and pull that through. I'm going to grab my darning needle and I'm going to thread that up, and it should be easy to get through here actually without all that. Okay, but what I'm going to do now is, this is the top of my first stitch, my stack. I'm going to go back from the back to the front. I'm going to bring that, and then I'm going to go into this stitch and aim down. Okay, I'm going to pull that through, and then I'm going to make sure that that is the same size, width, length of every other stitch, and holding on to it so it doesn't loosen anymore, I'm going to just secure it. So I'm going to just make a loop, and when it is a small loop, go back through the loop and tug it until it's gone. So now that just looks like any other chain at the corner. And all I need to do now is to bring this down and bury it in my corner, if it will come through the stitches, that is. So we hide it there, and then we can split that stitch a little bit so that when we go back through it won't pull all the way out, and bury it along our stitch line. And then we can do the same and just split it a little bit so we don't get all of it, and that way we can come all the way back along our stitches, and once we've hidden it we can grab the scissors, which I couldn't see, and just snip that off. So that's secured that end. Okay, so we've got this end. Now we need to just pull this one tight, and we're going to just bury this one. So threading up again. Where's the stitch we've come out of? There it is. So we've got nice and tight. Going to go back through that last stitch there, and once I have my little small loop, go back through that loop and just give it a tug so it becomes a little knot. And now I can bury it, which is never, oh, it's actually not going, normally it doesn't go too well with this fat one, but that was not too bad. So I can pull that knot and it disappears into my stitches, and we can go around this as much as we want to bury that. We can go a bit further round again, make sure that didn't pull through. No, that's just coming through that. Yeah, didn't pull through. It's just so I could see it through the gap. There we are. So now that one's secured as well, we can snip that off. So you have a choice now. This is our little wreath, and we can decorate him with sequins if you have any coloured sequins. I did have some before. I made a wreath to go on a Christmas stocking, and that's what I did. I just did all little coloured sequins all over it as if it were, you know, baubles sort of thing. So you can do that, or you can grab your red, like a piece of red yarn, and this is glitz, exactly the same, and I'm not sure the camera is picking this up, but this is really mega sparkly, this yarn. It is glinting in this light in here. So this is our top 2 stitches. We're going to go in between and out, in between and out, all of them. So we need a nice long-ish tail for tying in. That's about enough, I think. I think we're going to be fine. And then you go in and out, in and out, in and out again, and pull that through. Ooh, nearly done. Threaded my needle. Don't get caught. There we go. Oh my word. Get off. There we are. And we just keep doing that all the way around. In, out, in, out, in, out. So what we can do here, right, is 2 things. And I'll show you once we've done this. This can be the final look if you want it to be. And I have seen them done this way and it looks pretty nice. So we can go in and out. Okay, I might pull that through there actually, because we need, there we are, pulling that one through there, that one through there. Okay, so what we can do now is just snip this off. Ooh. And we can tie this in a little knot with a bow for those last stitches, because those last stitches are going to be hidden. So we can make our bow however big we want to make it, and snip off the ends. Right, okay, so it doesn't have to be as big as this. Okay, we just need to make that a little tighter. So once you're happy with how big your bow is, still a bit big, isn't it? There we go. Right, so then we just snip this off and this off, so that is the same height. So this now tells us that is the length of the thread we need to put through our wreath. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to make a chain this long. So just need to pull it out. That's the length. Let's get rid of all these ends that I've just been snipping off, and I'm going to bring in my red yarn, and I want a smaller crochet hook for this. So I want a chain that is this long, and that will be this is a 3.5, I think. Yeah, but you just want a nice small hook. It can be a 4, it can be any size. Now, how I make my cords for things like this is I make a chain and I pull it as low as I can. Make a chain and pull it as low as I can. That first one didn't pull very low. I wasn't happy with that. So let's do that again. There we are. Let's get that as low as we can. So it's almost, you can't work into it. It's just too low. And do that again and pull it really low. The first one's always fatter for some reason. But if you see what I'm doing, I'm making this cord that is an impossible cord to work in, but it is thicker than just one strand of yarn, and you can use it as a tie. And this is what I normally do when I'm making baby booties or mittens, you know, where you need a tie but you don't want a big fat loose loopy chain that's going to get baggy in places. So you know what I mean, when some sort of sides of the chain get a little bit loose. This will never happen with this, but it's not thick like an I-cord. You're just making this very, very, it looks like a very tight plait all the way, and it will I mean, we are, what, hardly there. We've done quite a lot of chains already. But it just makes a sturdier, obviously the tighter you pull it, the more sturdy this little cord is. But that's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to pause the video because it's going to take quite a long time. And I'm going to come back to you once this, and this tail doesn't count. I'm going to cut it right off. We don't want the tail. So, and you can cut it as, you can cut it so it's just a little tiny tuft. And if this ever does come undone, what can you do? Make a new one. Just make a new, if it starts to look, once you've washed this a few times, you've done like your tail, like your ties, just make a new one. As long as you've still got, you can always get red yarn or any other colour that you want to put yellow through. You can do anything, gold. Okay, so I'm just going to carry on. In fact, I have this. I have this, which I recently bought, and it is just a gold thread. Silver thread. I've got a gold one as well. I have a gold and a silver. I could just snip this and put that through there, like I have here. So, yeah, you could just do whatever you want. But I'm going to pause the video anyway. I'll come back to you when my cord measures the length of this that I've cut. Okay, so I'm there. And I'm just going to do my... cut a nice long tail and do one more and pull it through. Okay, so that's the same length, and what I've also done is cut this the same length as well so that we can see how that's going to look once that's done. So let's move all of that out of the way. We've already seen how just a red strand will look. Let's do the tie. Okay, so we just pop that in. And again, we just decide where we want to start. We go in and out, in and out, all the way around. Okay, like this. And I'll bring my cord through and I'll leave a fairly nice long tail. It's already easier to manoeuvre. And we'll do that again, in, oops, it's kind of harder to get around the corner. Have I done that wrong? No, just pulled it a little tight. You want enough showing that it looks kind of sweet. That's going to catch that corner if I'm not careful. Okay, don't put it too tight. It's difficult to get in between these without catching them. There we go. Okay. So if I go in there and out there, that's just as good a place as any. I can get this out. So my tails are, wow, good, cool. They're the same length. So now I can just make a little bow and it will be sturdier than the other one. So I don't, and it won't have to be as, pull that a bit tighter, I can tighten it up again. And all that I have to do now, pull that as tight as I can and cut this tail off the same as I did before. Get rid of that, and you can just manipulate then the bow and bring that down. But as you can see, it's a sturdier bow, and you can pose it more. Pull this one, right, pulling you off the table. Pull this one in a little bit more, and so that they're even. But I think that looks really cute. I like that. But I would like to see what it looks like with the silver. I wonder what it looks like if I put silver thread through at the same time. Or, let's have a look, shall we? We could even go in and out the other way. I don't know what that would look like. I really don't. So we'll go from the back this time. Back to the front. Just as an experiment. Okay, just an experiment. so we can go in and out the other way. It might look awful. We should see. That won't really look right, will it? Won't really, I don't think. We'll do a couple. No, maybe not. So we'd have to do it at the same, I don't know about doing it at the same, either just below it or above it at the same time, or just replace it. So I can't see it at all. Why can't I see it at all? Did I not go in? I thought I did. I thought I did. It's just very thin, isn't it? You could do the same thing if you wanted to. You could chain that up, because that one isn't showing. I'd have to pull it through like this a little bit. But you get the idea. You could go above and below it, couldn't you? If you wanted to. Or you could just change it completely. But that's it anyway. That is my granny square. And if you wanted to, as I said, you could bring in the colour. You could edge it in red just to finish that off nicely. But that's my little Christmas wreath. I hope you like it. And I hope you like the tie. I've actually in the past made myself a pair of bootlaces with these. And as long as you don't pull them ridiculously hard, they aren't quite sturdy, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's a great little tie. I hope you like that. I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Crochet Rocks. I'm going to show you how to make this Christmas tree square. I apologise if you saw this tutorial pop on here earlier, maybe yesterday. We had a bit of a hitch. I uploaded it, and for some reason the whole video was there, but when it uploaded there was only a fraction of it, and I'd already deleted it, so I now have to film it all over again. So now I have two of these. I've not blocked them, that's why they're a bit curly. Plus, as this is just a scrap yarn project for me, this green yarn is a little bit thicker than this, and so it definitely needs blocking. But now I have two of them, and this one will be the third, and I'm just hoping that I've got enough of the green yarn. So I want to show you the chart that I'm working from. There are 28 stitches across and 34 rows, I believe. I think it is. Yes, 34. And this is how, if you were looking at a chart, you would view it. So we're going to start with these 4 rows with the white, creamy white colour, and then 4 rows making this part. Then you can see we've got 2 clear rows here, and then we start with the green. And at first we do 4 rows, and then we go up by decreasing 1 at each end, and for 2 rows. So that's what it looks like on paper, and this is what it looks like in reality. So as I say, I'm hoping that I've got enough of this green yarn, because it was just a little scrap as it was, so now I've only got a little bit. So we need a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and I'm using a 4.5mm crochet hook. Actually, I've got the wrong one, so you have to bear with me while I rummage. It's the right colour, wrong hook. See, it's identical colour, just the wrong size. And so we have red, the white and green. Now this is all DK weight. As I say, that it's all DK, but this does come up a little bit thicker. So let's just position the camera down a little bit, and we start off with the creamy white. And so I'll get some yarn. Now to do this, we start with the slip knot. Now you can do that however you prefer to make your slip knot. I do it like that. It's not how I was taught, but I just developed that over the years. I do have a tutorial which shows how to make the slip knot and the magic ring, if you want to look at that first. If I can remember to do it, I'll put a card link to that. So we're going to do a total of 29 chain. Now, for beginners, I will show you a chain is to yarn over and pull through the loop, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through. So I'm going to pause the video because there's nothing worse than me counting and putting you off, but I will pause the video until I have 29 chain. So I've got 29 chain here now, and what we're going to do is, in the UK terms, this is a double crochet, and in the US terms, it's a single crochet. That's the only stitch that's involved. So this loop on the hook doesn't count, and this one here is our first chain from the hook, and this is our second, and we're going to go in there, we're going to insert the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop, so we have 2 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through both of them. I'll show you again. We'll go into the next chain along, insert, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through both of them. And that's how in the UK we have a double crochet, or in the US it's a single. So into the next chain, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through both. So I'll show you once more, slowly. And now I'm going to pause the video and I will meet you when I get to the end of the row of chain. I'm now on my last stitch. This one here is just the little knot, and that is the stitch. Let's do my last double crochet, chain 1 and turn my work. And again, I'm going to go all the way along and do a double crochet. So I'm going to go in the very first stitch and do a double crochet, and then 1 in each stitch along all the way to the end. So I'm going to pause this video and I will catch up with you at the end of this row, and I'll show you what I do at the end. I'm at the very last stitch now, and there is 1 chain as well, so I go into the very end part, which may very well be the turning chain. The first one is a little bit stiff, so I go into there and do my last stitch. That way it keeps it lovely and straight, so I'm not overly fussed whether I go into the actual stitch or the turning chain, because they are so close to each other. And when you do this stitch, a single in the US or a double in the UK, that is okay to do that because it just keeps it nice and straight. So I'm going to do another 2 rows of this stitch, and I will pause the video and I will meet you when I have a total of 4 rows of this colour. Right, so now we've done our 4 rows of our background colour, which for me is a creamy white, but you can use white any colour. I'm going to do this part. So this is 4 rows where we are going to do 11 double crochet, and then we're going to do 6 red and another 11, turn, and then complete and do that for another 4 rows. So I've got my red yarn handy, and so I do my chain, and I'm going to count 11. Won't do it out loud because that can be annoying. So on my 11th stitch, I will hold it there and get out my red yarn and join it, and I'll finish the stitch in the red. Now that I've caught a little bit of the white, I don't know where it's gone, but For now, I'm just going to secure this. I'm going to pull that a little tighter so it's not, I can just about see that little slither of white. See, this does happen to everybody, not just you guys. So I'm going to pull that a little tighter because I don't want it a big baggy stitch. And I'm just going to secure it with one little knot, just so it doesn't move. So now I'm going to carry that white yarn. So I'm going to hold that along my work. So now I'm going to do a total of 6 in the red. So I don't finish my 6th, and what I do is I pull this is how I do it. I pull that to the front, hold it with my thumb and finish that stitch in the white. So now when I return, the yarn is already on this side for me to do it. So I hold that and go into the next stitch and do the next 11 all the way to the end. This is perfect for scrap yarn projects. If you're only making 1 or 2, as long as you have enough of the scrap yarn, it's great to finish up all the odds and ends. If you're making a large project, like if you want to make it into a table runner or something like that, then obviously you need to make sure that you have enough yarn. The trouble with this is it's curling, but we'll try our best to keep it as straight as possible. So now I'll go make my way back. I'm doing 11 more double crochet until I get to the red. And I'll just show you how I pick up the red yarn if you need me to show you. My yarn's getting a little tight, I need to pull some out. So just 2 more to go. And then I don't finish it. I hold this. I'm going to carry that yarn, finish the stitch in the red, and then the first one, but I'm carrying that white yarn along with me. Didn't go through the whole stitch there. Get to the 6th one, again, pull the yarn forward. Oops, wrong one. I had them both actually. That one forward, finish that stitch in the white. Don't get confused with this tail that needs sewing in. Let's come forward. And then we just finish the row. If I can see where I'm going in. It's a bit dark in here. The sun's gone down actually. So then I just finish that row and come back. So I'm going to do 2 more rows. Remember the chart, we have 4 rows of the red. So I'm going to do 2 more rows exactly the same. Finish this one and 2 more rows, and then I will pause the video then and meet you back when I've completed those 4 rows. So I've just got to my very last red stitch, and so I'm going to just hold that yarn tight for a moment behind, finish the stitch in the white, and I'll do 1 stitch in the white, turn over, and because I don't need the red yarn anymore, I'm going to leave a nice long tail and snip it off, and then move that out of the way because it'll get tangled up, and then just complete the rest of the row in the white. And also, if you look at the chart, we need 2 clear rows, so I'm just going to do another 2 rows in the white colour. So I'm going to finish this one and then do 2 more rows in that white, and then I'm going to pause the video and I will meet you back here for the start of our green row. Okay, so I've now got 2 rows in just the white, and so we're back to this part, and we are going to do 5 white, and then we're going to do 18 in the green, and then another 5, and we're going to do that for 4 rows for the first part. So that's pick up my green yarn, pull some out. Now this, because you're using the green for quite some time, they can get a little bit tangled when you're carrying the yarn, but you just need to keep moving it just in case it gets a bit tangled. So we need to do 5 in the white. Of course, this does work better if you're using all the same yarn type, or if you wanted to perhaps make it so that it was fluffy. Did I do 5 then? I lost count. I'm just going to check. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that was 4. So this should be then my 5th. So I'm going to start. I'm actually not particularly sure that that's 5. It's just hard to see. I think it is. So I'm starting, and I'm going to hold that white in my other hand that's holding the yarn here, and I'm going to finish that stitch in the green. Now I don't want it to get too baggy, so I'm just going to pull that slightly, and then I'm going to tie this little end to my yarn just to stop it from coming unravelled. So now we're going to do 18 in the green, and we're going to carry the white yarn, if I can separate the two. Move that back. So holding this with my work, I'm going to do 18. I shan't count them out loud. In fact, I'll pause the video and I'll do 18 in the green, and then you can catch up with me. Okay, so I've done 18. I'm just going to bring that forward as before, finish that stitch in the white, and end my row with 5 in the white. Turn my work, and I'm going to do that for 4 rows. So I'm going to pause the video and do 4 rows in this green, just the same as I did changing the yarn, bringing it to the front, exactly the same for 4 rows in the green, and I will meet you back once I've done those 4 rows. Okay, so I've done the 4 rows, and I'm just going to show you how I carry the yarn and decrease here. So for 2 rows we're going to decrease 1 at each end, so that will be 16 of the green. So how I do that is my 1 chain, and then I'll do my double crochets as usual. And I'm not sure if you can hear Sophia crying there. Don't quite know what's wrong. So this time I don't complete it in the green, and I'll carry that green yarn for 1 stitch. But I won't finish that stitch because now that's my 1 decrease. So I'm going to hold this white yarn and carry it, finish that one in the green, and then do 16 green stitches. When I get to the end, I'll pull that green yarn to the front as usual, but I'll just do 1 less. So I'm just going to do my 16 stitches now in the green for 2 rows. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'll see you when I get to the end of that 2 rows. Okay, so now you can see our tree is starting to go in, and so every 2 rows we are just going to decrease by 1 stitch. So now we're going to do 7 white, and then 14 green, and another 7 white for 2 rows. And we'll do it exactly the same way. When we get to this point, we will do our very first stitch working over the yarn, not finish it in the white, finish it in the green, and we will decrease 1 at each end again. and one at each end of every 2 rows until we have just 4. So I'm going to pause the video and I will meet you back here, because you've now seen how to decrease at the beginning and end of each of the colour rows and just increase the white, how to work over the first part of the yarn on this decrease and then work it back in. So keep going until you've only got 4 of the green left. Do 2 rows where you have 4, and then I will pick you up again at this point. If at any moment you feel you need to have a refresher on this, just rewind slightly and watch the last couple of rows. But I shall pause the video and see you when we get to just 4 of our green stitches. Okay, so I'm on my very last row of green. This is just finishing my 4th stitch, my 2nd row of green. So I'm going to work over that one, and I'm going to leave a nice long tail, which I only really had that much yarn left, so did very well there. Just to end off that green, and it really is a scrap. And I'm not going to work over that yarn because I want to make sure it's more secure. So I'm going to continue on to the end in this colour, and then if you look at the chart, we do 4 clear rows of the white, just as we did at the start. So that's all we do, is 4 clear rows of the white to end off and finish off our yarn. And that's the square made. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll see you right at the